How is that going, guys? Muntema here, back again with another video. So guys, in today's tutorial I'll show you how to retouch a full body image in Photoshop. And guys, as I promised, I'll be doing a tutorial every single day so that you can understand how I edit my photos, how you can learn a few things on how to create amazing images. And today's image, I'll just edit the way I edit my normal photos, or because most of the time I'm shooting clients, and I'll show you how I normally edit my photos for my clients. And you can see we have this amazing image right here. I shot this with my Canon EOS R 85mm f2.0 and shutter speed of 1/2000. Guys, let's start. The first thing I do, I need to color correct right here in Lightroom, and I need to work on the white balance to just make the image look amazing. So I'll go ahead and push, let's push this slightly to like 61, 50. I think it's okay. Let's push this to something like maybe there, and let's push this slightly. Always pay attention on the image. We're just correcting the tones, and I want this to look as golden as possible because that's the goal of the image. Yeah, I used two light setup. You can see one light on the back light and the main light in front because it was a minimal setup. So let's go. You can see I used a tint of 32 and temperature of 7000. It's looking amazing. Let's increase the shadow slightly, and let's push the contrast up like that. Always check before and after. Yeah, and let's reduce the contrast slightly. Let's reduce the highlights somewhere like that. Perfect. You can see now how we're perfecting the tones. You can see before and after. I like how the outcome is looking. I like the results. It's really coming out amazing. And let's push the blacks inside like this perfectly. Let's enhance the whites so that we can have the perfect glow. Let's come down here. Yeah, I like how it's looking. Let's come down here and let's reduce the saturation slightly because we don't want so much saturation. Go to the tone curve, and on the blues, just push the blues like this slightly. And I do like my results. This is really looking nice. So I'll just right click and proceed to edit in Photoshop. Yes guys, we are here in Photoshop, and the first thing I need to do, I need to crop this image to the Instagram size. And normally Instagram size is 4:5 or 8:10. So I just come here and pick 4:5 or 8:10. And you can see when you crop, it's not really fitting perfectly. And you can see this side right here, the stool is close to the edge. So my favorite place, or my place of enhancement, should be this side. So I'll just drag this up like this, and then push this back, and then let's reduce it until the image fits on the frame perfectly. And yes, that's okay for me. And then I'll just let's push this up slightly. Yes, that's okay for me. So what I need to do, I'll just perfect, just press enter on your keyboard. Now with this, I like how the image is looking right now. So just go ahead and pick my patch tool, and if you crop your images and you are left with this black part here, we term this as just another object on your image. So just draw like this, then edit, fill, content aware, and it should fill automatically. Perfect. You can see now we have this nice looking background, and the image is looking amazing. So let me zoom in the image perfectly, and then let's retouch. Let's try to remove all these blemishes before we do frequency separation. So I'll just pick my patch tool and draw and drag to a cleaner area. Draw and drag. I'm trying to retouch the biggest blemishes, so draw and drag. draw and drag. Perfectly, draw and drag. So the other remaining blemishes, I'll just remove them immediately after I'm done with frequency separation. So let me zoom out the image and then I'll just go ahead and do frequency separation. So Ctrl J twice, Ctrl J, Ctrl J. Let's rename this to texture, and let's rename this to color. Okay, disable the texture layer, then go to color, go to filter, noise, then dust and scratch. Sorry guys, I didn't know what happened there. I pressed the wrong. Go to let me just undo. Okay, so disable the texture layer, then select the color, go to filter, then noise, then dust and scratches. And because this image we used a very low aperture, I'll just go ahead and use a radius of 4 and say okay. I'll go ahead and enable the texture layer and then go to image, apply image, and then select on the color. Make sure blending mode is subtract, and make sure invert is not selected, opacity of 100, scale of 2, offset of 128, preserve transparent not selected, and mask not selected, and then go ahead and say okay. Change the blending mode here to linear light. Perfectly. Now we can just go ahead and do frequency separation, but if you want to see the highlights and blemishes, the highlights and the shadows perfectly, come up here and create a black and white layer on top like this, and just let's go ahead and retouch. So I zoomed my image because I don't see so far, so I need to zoom it inside. But if you're retouching, you are not allowed to zoom your images. So I'll go ahead and pick my mixer brush tool, change the blending mode, make sure it's a clean brush. I don't know where blending mode is coming from. Anyway, so wetness of 100 and load of 75, mix of 90 and flow of 100. And let's reduce, actually the video I said flow of 200, and I'm sure you guys understood. Reduce and sample layers not selected. Perfect. And let me disable the texture layer and then select on the color layer. Okay, so I'll go ahead and brush this image to perfection. So you can see these are the highlights, these are shadows. So let me retouch this highlight right here, and then just go ahead and retouch as fast as possible, because we're trying to make this tutorial as short as possible. So guys, you can see I'm already done with the forehead, and if I can enable the texture layer, you can see before and after. So the more plastic it looks, the more well retouched your image will be. So yep, guys, let me know in the comment section what kind of videos do you guys want me to produce. But I've been trying to do as many normal editing as possible, because most of my followers are, or most of you guys are new photographers, and you want to understand the photography, editing and everything to just create amazing images. So you can see how I'm retouching the image, and as I said, we have disabled the texture layer. So the more plastic it looks, the more well retouched your image should be. So yeah, and we just used the radius of 4. So mostly if you're using like a Nikon D56, low apertures, always learn to use very low radius if you want your images to come out looking amazing. So guys, we are done with the face. If I can enable the texture, you can see before and after. Let me put all this in a group, Ctrl G, and let's call this frequency separation. Frequency, and before and after, you can see how much we have done with the face. So let's go ahead and retouch the other parts of the model skin. Let's disable the black and white, because some parts are really dark with the black and white on. So let's retouch this hand right here. the goal is to get amazing results and well retouched images. And guys, if you've noticed, I don't really even skin tone to all my images, because I've realized people think I even skin tones on all my images, but I really don't. It's just that some images the makeup artist does a really nice job and I just go ahead and retouch them. And sometimes you also need to get something very well edited, not actually a nice skin or just a well edited image. So just go ahead and retouch this image to perfection like that. Okay, I like how this is coming. Let me enable the texture layer and see the before and after. It's looking nice. I'll come back to work on the skin tones later. So if you want to rotate, just press R in your keyboard and this will help you retouch some parts of your of the model skin where you feel your retouching wasn't really reaching perfectly. So, and we continue. I like retouching while I've disabled the texture layer, because we need to get as much, we need to make sure, we need to only even balance the tones, not over retouching or smoothing our images. Because when the tones, it just works exactly as global dodge, micro dodge and band, because when you even the tones, you get a smooth skin. So that's why I've disabled the texture and trying to only retouch on the colors and everything. I'll just use dodge and band to brighten this area, so don't worry about that. Let's touch on the stomach. And guys, as I always say, perfect your images on shooting. Yeah, so I really do like the results. Let me bring my image straight and let me zoom out and let's enable the texture and see how much you have done. If I can zoom in the image slightly, you can see how well we have retouched the skin. I like the textures remaining. I like how the image is looking, so just perfecting everything to just look amazing. Yes, you can see the textures on the stomach, everything is really looking really nice. So up to that level, I guess we okay. So the next thing I'm going to do, I need to dodge some parts of the model skin because I feel they are slightly darker. So I'll go ahead and run. If you had the retouch, not the retouch academy, you could just go ahead and go for dodge and burn. But for this one, I have my action, so I just go ahead and run the global dodge and burn action, and then come right here and then enable the global dodge and burn and select on the dodge. I'll pick my brush and make sure opacity is at 100 and flow something like, let's say 10 or 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, somewhere there up to 15. And let's just brush this area like this because we're trying to brighten the dark parts of our model's skin. You cannot see also the face is not that bright. As I said, I just use two light setup and one light in front, and when you're using one light in front without reflector, it actually doesn't reach to every single part of your model's body. But remember, it's all about the creativity. The aim is to get well creative images and well lit images. So let's try to dodge as much as possible to other parts of the skin like that, or other parts of the image, to just make the image look amazing. I think let's reduce the opacity. You can always go ahead and reduce the opacity of the dodge, and before and after, before and after. Let me show you the frequency before and after, before and after. This is before frequency separation, after frequency separation. That's how much retouching can change your image. But what we're doing next now, I need to go ahead and now liquefy this image. I need to reduce to just make the model look amazing. So just liquefy this image, this area specifically. So Control Shift Alt and T to create a new merge layer. Then go to filter and then liquefy. So let me just go ahead and push this inside like that as much as possible, and let's go ahead and bend this area as much as possible, because we need to make sure the model is looking amazing. The goal is to make the images look perfect. If you can see, I'm not zooming my images because my liquify doesn't really work so perfect. So when I zoom it now, starts misbehaving. That's why I don't really zoom in, and you can see it somehow impacted there, but I'm glad it's back and it's looking. Let me just zoom it. I know it won't work perfectly. You can see it always has this error, but I'll just say okay. It takes so much time by the time it responds. Okay, it's back. So that's why, as I said, I don't really like zooming. I updated my Windows and it hasn't been a mess. Of course, the computer hasn't been working perfectly, so yeah, it's just a few ups here and there, a few ups and downs here and there. That's what I'm saying. So, and then I'll go ahead and say okay. It will also do the same, so I'll just do this as many times as possible, because there's nothing to worry about here. So, and we are done. Just a minute. Yes, and we are done. So you can see how much the liquify does. This is how the image looks before we did liquify, and this how the image does after we are done with liquify. So now after all that, I'll just come right here and select gradient map right there, and then I'll change this to select the legacy gradient, and as I said on my previous video, let's say for example you don't have the legacy gradient, it's not showing. You always come here and select gradient and come right here and then select the legacy gradient, and you'll see photographic toning down here. But mine is always there, so come here to my actions. Come here to legacy and select gradient map, and then select legacy gradient and select legacy and select photographic toning. Perfect. Now I need to only add photographic toning on the image alone, so on the image, not on the background. So I'll just go ahead and on the skin alone, not on the background, the outfit. So come here and change this to soft light perfectly, and let's reduce the opacity as low as possible. I think to that level it looks nice, and then go ahead and invert, and then pick your brush and make sure it's the flow is at 100, and make sure it's a very soft brush and opacity of 100, and let's brush it on the skin, on the model skin, because that's where we want the gradient to be, or the tones to be. So this is looking perfect like that. It's really looking amazing so far. Perfect. Now that's looking really nice. If you want to see the mask, just guys, don't mind if it goes to the background, because the background is almost the same skin tones as the model, the same color as the model skin tone, so don't worry. So after that, I Control Shift Alt and D to create another merge layer, then select subject, and then because our subject is selected, Control J once to create a copy of the background, and then make sure convert it to the copy of the subject, and make sure you convert it to smart object, and then go to filter, camera raw filter, and let's now work. And guys, you can see our image has so much tone. So the only thing which is really putting us back is because they're trying to share the same skin tone with the background, and that's why it's not so popping as it's popping when you change the background to white. But I'm not saying you should always change the background to white, so yeah. But if you don't have a white background in your studio, trust me, you're missing out. It's something you should have in your studio. So let's work on the tones here on camera raw filter, and then say okay. And you can see how much impact we have. And then I'll just go ahead and run my color lookup table and load my 3D LUT, because I only use one LUT on all my images. And you can see how much it does to my image. Let's reduce the opacity of the LUT, and that's okay. And then I'll just go ahead and select Control Shift Alt and T to create now another merge layer of everything, and then go ahead and select the background, because I need to work on the background alone. I need to do a few things on the background. You can see I've selected the subject, but I'll just go ahead and inverse selection so that it can select the background only, and then go to filter and then convert this to smart object. Then go to filter and then camera raw filter. The only thing I'm adding on this background is inverse. Is the reason we inverse because we're only selecting the background. So the only thing I'm doing to this background is, I don't know why it's not working. Control undo and then Control J. Make sure you Control J to select the background, and then go to camera raw, and let's work on the background alone. You can see now we don't have the subject. That's why we have this looking like this. We only have the background and the stool. So I come here and let's do some vignetting, because we need to separate the model from the background as much as possible. Vignetting in terms of effects, not in terms of optics. Let's push this side, and let's push this way, and let's reduce this, and let's push this to this as much as possible. Let's reduce the vignetting as low as possible, and then let's come here and let's make sure this is as golden as possible, and let's add there, and boom. I like how it's looking, so I just go ahead and reduce the opacity as much as possible, and that's looking nice for me. I like how it's looking right now. And then I'll just press Control and press inside this selection and select selective color, and then come here to neutrals, and let's create some tones on the background to make sure it's looking amazing there. Give it on that. Yeah, that's already looking nice. I like how it's looking right now. So let's reduce the opacity slightly. And guys, if you can remember, I didn't do a dodge and burn on this image because I don't really do dodge and burn on all my images. The goal is to show you how I normally edit my images. So I'll go ahead and pick this spot healing brush tool or healing brush tool, and then Control Shift Alt and T, and then I'll just Control Shift Alt and T to create a merged layer. Control Shift Alt and T to create a merged layer right here, and then I just go ahead and brush this area like that. Let's brush this area like that. Yeah, just trying to clean this area. Let me zoom in slightly because we need the area very well cleaned. It's looking perfect. So draw right here and drag it up like that. The goal is not to over edit. The goal is to just get nice looking images, and this is just how I retouch my normal photos for my clients, nothing more. So you can see all that is done. Let me put everything in a group, all this in a group like this, and let me show you how much we have done on this image so far. So this is the before. This is before we did anything on the image. This is just how the image came from Photoshop, and this is after we have done some retouching and color grading here and there, liquifying, to just make the image look nice. The goal of the images, as I have been saying all my shoots, is not over retouching or over editing. The goal is just make the model look amazing. The last thing I'm going to do is eye and teeth whitening. So let's run my eye and teeth whitening action, and let me zoom in slightly, and let me retouch the eyes there like that, perfectly. And it's done. We are done. Let me zoom in and show you the before and after. You can see how much texture we have on our model's face. It's already looking really nice. So this is the before we did anything on the image, and this after we have done so much on the image, and it's looking amazing. I like how clean the image is looking. So guys, I'm really grateful for the support, and that's all for today's video. Hope you guys learned something from this image, and that's how I normally edit my images. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and see you in the next one. I'm so grateful. Thank you.